Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z GINYU, or Captain GINYU, or I feel bad for all of you who bought the Demoniacal Fit one that was terrible and way overpriced. And now there's this one and you had to buy both, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I told you not to buy it. If you did, you're out of luck. But this guy is a contender for one of the best Figuarts Dragon Ball figures to date. Yes, those are strong words, I know. It's not perfect, there are a few issues, but it is a dang good release. There's lots to talk about, so let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 7 inches, which makes him pretty close to, let's say 18 centimeters, and we'll just do a quick size comparison. Some packaging glue on the table. A quick size comparison against Goku, because that's a relevant thing to do. Is the size accurate? I think that's pretty darn close. I think that's good. Is it absolutely perfect? Probably not. They do tend to skew towards center. Big guys are slightly smaller, smaller guys are slightly bigger, typically speaking, but this seems to me to be reasonable, so that's a good thing. First thing I notice on this guy is his skin, other than the joints, which are a different plastic, and it's very hard to make that matte. His skin is all matte, and it is gorgeous. It makes the figure look so much better. I don't think there's any shading on there. That would probably be a nice addition, but because it's a nice matte finish and it's well sculpted, you're gonna not need it as much. It does a good job of catching the light the way you want it to and looking really, really nice. And the painting that is on this figure, which is a fair amount, look at all the armor, there's lots of colors, or at least lots of colors next to other colors. So brown against white, white against black, white against purple, brown against white against black. With the logo, there's lots of line work, lots of edging to do, and it is all... It's almost perfect. I am amazed at how clean this is, because they've done a good job in the past. But this one is incredibly well done. Very, very nicely done. Other thing I notice is it's really accurate to the source material. It has a certain feel to it. Sometimes we get the Dragon Ball figures and they don't quite look like the anime or the manga. This guy has the right look to it. Almost like Bardock. Not Bardock. Raditz. Why did I say Bardock? Well, Bardock too. But Raditz in particular looks just so freaking good. And this guy is on that same level. It's very well done. The sculpt is nice. There's harder edges in the face. It's very angular looking. It has the right look. It's very well done. The paints are just so clean and excellent, 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 excellent. Good proportioning. 9 out of 10. This guy is superb in the aesthetics department. All right, on to the accessories. We have 4 different heads. We have the smirking head that comes on him in the package, one where he's showing his teeth, one where he's yelling, and then one where he's yelling with his eyes more wide open. Plenty of options there. For the hands, we have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package, 2 pointing finger hands, 2 karate chop style hands, 2 Dragon Ball type of holding hands, and then 2 wide open holding hands. We do get a giant Dragon Ball, which is awesome. It's very well done. It's not perfectly polished. I know some people might hate that. It's a piece of plastic, guys. It's not a blown glass ball. It is incredibly well done. The optical clarity is nuts. I'll try to get a photo of it so you can see, but right now I'm holding it and I'm looking at the other accessories through the ball, and they're perfectly clear. It's so well done. They could have easily messed that up and they didn't. Kudos for that. And then lastly, we get a booby plate. He has the normal one on him in the package, and then we get the one that is battle damaged. Very nicely done. Different finishes on there for the glossiness and the flatness. Very, very nicely detailed. Accessories on this guy get... I think that's a 9 out of 10. I don't know. I can't think of anything else that I need for him. Maybe a frog accessory would be cool, which wouldn't really be an accessory so much as an alternate figure. But that's really not necessary. So I'm very pleased with this batch. This guy is just a splendid release. Wonderful. All right. On to the articulation, if the camera is in focus, which I think it is. Okay, so head... Double ball peg? What? Yes, that is so much better than not doing that. Look at that, look at that. It is a tiny ball on there on either end though, so that does limit it some, but because it's a nice long peg with a hollow neck, you can move it around pretty darn well. No real issues. You could get better range out of it, as I've shown in other videos, but it's still very nicely done. And then we also do get the neck on a ball peg, which has loads of range. I wish it didn't have so much of a cavity when you move it in some directions, but it's still pretty good range, and there's lots of nice sculpt work on there too. They don't always give us quite as much detail. They seem to go kind of soft on these guys sometimes. This guy doesn't have that. It's great. For the shoulders, we have the hinge, and then they also peg in, which don't let it fool you if it's like loose in the package. That's how mine came. They can pop off fairly easily, but that's good. You're not going to break anything. They also do have a little bit of rotation because of that. It's still going to get in the way a lot, but there's not much you can do with armor like this. That's just the way it is. Now for the shoulder, we have a butterfly joint, which is better than almost every other Dragon Ball butterfly joint, except it's also not, because you have his armor sticking out on his chest right here. That little tip right there gets in the way of the arm. It still works, don't get me wrong, it still works, but that little tip does prevent it from going forward. Plus, this armor kind of has to do that. So the butterfly joint, kind of useless. I mean, not entirely. It's not hurting anything. It just doesn't really achieve much because of the armor, and there's no way around that. So it's not a fault, it's just the way it is. So be aware of that. You do have the ball peg connected to the butterfly joint, and then you have your full-on hinge, which more than enough range. There's no problem there at all. That's really, really good. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow is fine. Wrists, I'm actually not sure. The wrists should just be, yep, they're ball pegs. That's what I thought. Regular old ball peg. That's fine. You're not going to get a ton of range out of them, but you never do on a wrist anyway if it looks good. So that's as much range as you're going to get out of a ball hinge, essentially. So that's fine, and it looks good. For the torso, we do have a hinge in there. Mine's pretty stiff. If yours is stiff, just be aware that it is still in there. The hinge does allow you to lift up on it a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit, to give them a little bit more lean forward, which is going to be helpful for some poses. You do get a giant cavity in the back. To get that much bend going forward, that's going to happen. This is strictly meant for a particular pose. You're not supposed to look at that part. That's just the way it is. But you do get really good lean going forward, which is necessary for this guy. But then you do also have the ball peg in there. It's very stiff, but it's not squealing or anything, so I think that's pretty good. Plenty of range there. And then for the lower torso, let's see what we have down here. A little bit of lean side to side. You do get your rotation out of both of them, but we do also have a little bit more hinging going forward. A little bit of squeakage, so be careful. You might end up with some stiff joints in the end. Everything's fallen off of this guy. That's okay, that's just from me going through the review. It didn't fall off prior, don't worry. But yeah, you can bend him all the way over. You'll see in the photos at the end, the bend is not a problem, so that's good. These guys work just like the upper ones. They have the hinge and they peg in, so that's fine. I'll leave that off to show you on this side. You can get the legs basically all the way out to the side. No problem at all there. Going forward, a little bit of squealing, but it does go all the way forward. And not so far back. He has a little bit more cake going on back here, so that's all right. We do have our thigh swivel. How does it work with the armor? Let's look on this side. Pretty much the same, going out to the side and going forward. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, like I said, there's only so much you can do with armor like this, so it'll be okay. You're going to have to deal with the armor, but it's not going to totally ruin the posability, so that's fine. As for the knees, they are glossy just like the elbows. I know that's not ideal. It's very hard to make that match because you can't paint this kind of plastic. It's just something we're going to have to live with, I guess, unless they're going to start using caps on top of them. But you get plenty of range there, that's good. And then for the ankle, it's not my favorite design, but it is at least functional on this guy. It's a double ball peg, so you can bring the foot down that far, which is not that much, that far forward, which is not that much, but the ankle rocker is decent, and that seems to be a pretty valuable joint. Obviously, you could rotate if you want to, but you probably don't. So yeah, not a great ankle. Ball hinges, they need to use ball hinges more often down there. That'd be wonderful. I don't know why they don't. Toe hinge is stiff, but pretty far back, not the best looking. And once you break it loose, it's not that stiff. So as far as I'm concerned, toe hinges are a waste of time on almost any figure. They don't almost ever work. So, whatever. It's not going to kill the figure. It's just not a usable toe hinge. So, otherwise, this guy's articulation is pretty good. As you saw, the scouter can pop off, and it goes on the alternate heads. Not all of them, only 2 of them. I guess I should have mentioned that in the review, or in the accessories portion. I was going to do it at the end, but since it popped off, I'm forced to now, which is still almost the end anyway, and that's okay. But you do get the scouter, and you probably already saw the lack of an ear on the alternate heads. so that's fine. But yeah, articulation on this guy is as good as you could expect it to be given the design of the armor. So I think it's fine. I'm gonna give it an 8. It's very well articulated. The fact that he can hunch over so far is nice. The shoulders work well, the neck, the head works well, the knees and hip, everything's pretty good on this guy except for the ankles, really. So, final verdict on this release. I thought it was gonna be good. I hoped it was gonna be good. I expected it to be at least mediocre. And so I'm very, very, very pleased. It turned out better than I thought. It's very nice. I think you guys are gonna like it. I'm gonna give it an overall 9 out of 10. It's one of their best releases for sure. So make sure you pick it up. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, because I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.